Good morning, my YouTube family. How's everybody doing today? So I'm just coming at you real quick because I had forgot some vital details in my video yesterday. Sometimes I get on my video and it was a lot going on in traffic. So it was something that I had meant to put about. I was talking about, so if you didn't catch the video from last night, I was in my car and I was talking about how people keep tabs on your life and they use it to try to turn things to make you feel bad about yourself. Now, sometimes people do it unintentionally, and then sometimes people do it intentionally. What I come to find, there's a common pattern in narcissistic people that they like to intervene into your decision making. It's not about just intervening into your life. It's about intervening into your decision making and what you feel is best for yourself. And there's a reason why they do that. There's several reasons. One of the reasons is narcissists like to do what's called a body takeover. They want to take over your whole being, right? So part of that is to first get into your mind. This hair getting in my eye. What is that noise? Oh, it's my fan upstairs. It's making a lot of noise. Let me turn it off because I don't know if you can hear it in the background. I'm almost packed up. Hold on. Oh. Yeah, it was annoying me. It seems like when you're making a video, you don't realize all the background noise until you replay the video and you're like, wow, that was a lot of noise. Anyways, what was I saying? I know I was talking about narcissists. They try to do what's called like a mind takeover. Their whole purpose is to take over your mind so that everything you think about, you have to get permission from them. So what I was talking about last night is my decision to quit trucking, my decision to go back to New York and reset my career. I already had a career in mental health. I went to college in 2013, graduated in 2016, and started my journey into the mental health care field. I was doing that for several years, and then one thing happened was I got a little mentally burnt out because I was younger. I didn't understand how to pace myself. So, I wasn't like doing a lot of self-care and things like that. And then I started complaining about the money. So it was just like me being immature. Like my value system wasn't, I always had a good value system, but it wasn't really fully developed back then in 2016. You see what I'm saying? So I was all about trying to get a fancy car and just, keeping up with the Joneses. And that was like I still loved people and helping people, but the other side of me was, I was trying to compensate by keeping up with what everybody else was doing. So, I was in my, how old was I? I can't even go do the math. I probably was like 39 when I first started. I don't remember, but I was probably either in my late 30s or early 40s trying to figure out how to play catch up to really gain material things back then, because I was like, okay, I was a single mom. I was divorced, so I wasn't really a single mom, but I became a single mom, if that makes sense. So once I became a single mom, I was like, oh man, I'm doing this on my own. I got to play catch up. You see what I'm saying? So when I finally was able to go back to school in 2013, I was like, let me take advantage of it. The VA paid for it, paid for me to go back to school. I hate when people look at my curtains. This is another reason why I want to get out of trucking. It's no privacy in your truck. You can't open your curtains because people want to be nosy and look all up in your business, and they see you talking on the phone. But anyways, so what was I saying? Make a long story short, I finally started gaining more wisdom in my mid-40s, and then I really started getting a whole new way of thinking after the pandemic. That's when I realized, okay, money is not everything. But by then I was already trucking, so I stayed committed to trucking, right? And I was in it for 5 years at that point, which is now. So I was like, you know what? Even trucking is showing you that nothing is really guaranteed. prices are going out of control, inflation is out of control, freight is out of control, meaning not in a good way. They don't have enough freight. You know, it's just so much volatility in all areas of life. So you never want to just do something based off of finance, based off of material wealth. You also want to have a purpose in life. The whole idea of gaining happiness and true happiness is understanding yourself, having self-acceptance, and then also gaining a purpose and accomplishing that purpose, or at least putting the foot in the action to gaining that purpose. It could be anything. Some people, their purpose in life is just to have a baby and be the best mom or best dad. If that's their purpose, that's their purpose. Can't nobody tell them what their purpose should be. But I come to find with narcissistic people and sociopaths. Why? The phone want to fall as soon as I want to highlight the narcissistic people. Sociopathic and narcissistic people, they're kind of similar, because sociopathic people are, their whole motive is to go and F with people, right? The psychopathic people, they do it too, but since they're so goal-oriented and just doing that, it's kind of more obvious to spot them. So you kind of, once you spot them, you kind of back away from the situation, because it's so clear that they're about to play you or they're about to abuse you, right? But when it comes to sociopaths and narcissists, the writings is not so clear on the wall. So you got to start to use a little bit more discernment, a little bit more wisdom. And that's where it can get tricky, because by then they've already manipulated you. They've already manipulated your mind. So now you start second guessing yourself. So one of the reasons why they tend to do that is they need you to be on their agenda. So their agenda is that you become their full supply. The minute you deviate from that feeling of them feeling secure enough with the supply you're about to give them, it's going to be a whole problem. They're going to tell you that you're stupid, you shouldn't have did that, you don't listen, you don't pay attention to how things should be done. They're the smart one, they're the leader, but they're not going to use the word leader, but they're going to come off in a nurturing kind of approach, like if they're kind of mothering you or fathering you, because the whole purpose of a narcissist is that they have been suffering from a mother wound, right? So they're going to come off like this, you know, you should have did it this way, the way I told you would have been better. It's always this whole, you don't know anything. Because the whole thing is they need you to drop all your defenses. Your defenses is your protection against them manipulating your mind and coming and destroying it, right? So you start having what's called a shared fantasy. Now, the shared fantasy concept and theory, I got it from Dr. Vaknin. So if you go to one of his videos, his name is Sam Vaknin. He talks about the shared fantasy between narcissistic people and their victims. So the narcissist person is going to sell you a dream. And what's going to happen is that dream is going to be everything you've told them you want to do with your life, who you are as a person. You're going to start to tell them, because like how I talk to y'all, I'm talking to y'all, I'm saying, hey, I want to do this with my life, right? When you do that with a narcissist, what it does is allows you to open up your defenses to them. Now remember, the defenses is your protection against the manipulation, right? So you start second guessing your defenses, because naturally your defenses are not supposed to be up with any human that you're in love with or with family-wise all the time. The defenses is just the first layer of protection. Once you build trust, you bring it down and you let that person in. That's natural human interaction. But when it comes to the narcissist and the victim, they allow you to drop your defense by pretending they're sharing the fantasy with you. So what you're going to do is you're going to start telling them your hopes, your dreams, your desires. Then they're going to act like they're so invested into your dreams and desires and giving you great hope and ideas and even giving you money to fund maybe something you might need to do. So you start believing that you can trust this person or these people, whoever they are. Next thing you know, you drop your defense. Once you start dropping your defense, you allow them to share. It's called the shared fantasy. You would allow that narcissist or sociopath to now invade your mind. So now it's a shared fantasy. Because it's not really their fantasy. It's you believing that they are involved in your fantasy. So now it becomes a shared one, like y'all minds become one. But it's really not the minds become one, because it's really no second mind. A narcissist has no mind. You're sharing your own mind with the empty body that you think is supposed to be sharing your hopes and dreams and desires, and you think they're sharing their hopes and dreams and desires with you. But it's all fake. It's all fake. It's all a pretend, because it's all pretend like you're like in a theater play, and these are the roles that each person play. The narcissist role is to be in the background and soak up the audience and soak up the music and soak it all up. They're going to soak up all your energy, and eventually it's going to be used against you. When it gets used against you is when you start making your own mind, you start coming with your own decisions, and you start switching the shared fantasy. Next thing you know, you start switching the play. So now you're coming in on the scene, changing the roles of who's going to play what, and they're like, wait a minute, that's not what we signed up for. Remember, we got a shared fantasy, and the fantasy is you said this is how you're going to do it with me, and nothing's supposed to change. So now you start taking them off of their equilibrium balance of controlling you, and they don't like that. So the narcissist is going to come and make you feel like, what? You changing your mind? Why would you do that? That's the part I forgot to mention in my video. You have a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot, there's people out there that when they don't see your vision, the reason why they don't see your vision, there's different reasons. So don't make it, I don't want to make it seem like everybody that doesn't see your vision is a narcissist. That's not what I'm saying. So let's get the context first before people start saying, well, da 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 da. No, you can have genuine family members, you know, like, let's say it's your mom and she's not a narcissist, and you tell her you're about to change your career. Just because she doesn't agree with it, it could just be out of concern. You know what I'm saying? She could just be concerned that you're making a bad decision, or she might see that your life is in turmoil and you keep making bad decisions, and she might be like, honey, you know, this is something you keep doing, da 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 da, I don't know, you know, it seems kind of a bad idea. But when it's like intentional to make you feel bad about yourself, you know the difference. You know the difference in the feedback and the comeback, right? Because a lot of it is self-guided. That person that is narcissistic or sociopath, when they're telling you, no, don't do this, or you don't never listen to what I tell you to do because you just want to do things your way, they try to put the guilt trip. It's more of an intentional manipulation. You can tell by the way they put the words together, the attitude, the body language. Because really, why would you get mad at somebody else's life? I remember back in the day when I would tell my mom that I was like about to reach a new milestone or switch up something I got going on in my life, I would never hear her say, congratulations, great job. It will always be to find something bad in that good, right? Like, oh, so let's say I tell her, like, I'm about to get a new apartment or something like that, right? Let's say I've been talking about getting a new apartment, and then I finally got a new apartment. And let's say I didn't mention that it was going to be in a different borough or different state. She might use that part and be like, oh, you didn't tell me it was going to be in this particular state. Well, did you know that in that state, there's no jobs? So what you going to do about the kids? You're just going to move to some city. You don't have no idea of what's going on, and you just doing stupid shit with your life. And it's just like, oh my God, you turned great news into just a bad nightmare. Anything dealing with them in the narcissistic mindset, when you're getting it from their advice and what goes on in their brain, it never sounds good. It never sounds good. The only time it sounds good is when they're part of your shared fantasy. So there's two parts to the narcissist, right? There's the real narcissist, the one that can't stand your guts, that really don't want you around them, but they really need your supply. So it's like, that's the real narcissist. And then you got the shared fantasy, the fake ideal narcissist that he puts on this show, or she puts on a mask to be able to reel you in. So this particular person, when you are doing what you're supposed to do in the shared fantasy, they're going to be sweet. That's what makes it so diabolical, that you don't even realize you're actually being manipulated. So it's a Dr. Jekyll and a Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll, remember that show? I don't know, a lot of people don't know it that's young, but it was a movie about this doctor. he would change into a regular human, I think. But one of the people, I think it was the regular person, was like a hideous, angry monster. And then he would take this serum and he would change into another person, like a doctor, a smart person. Everything that this person really wanted to be, but never aspired to be. Another thing about the narcissist, they're lazy in the mind. They're lazy in the mind when it comes to achieving their own shit. So like, they can achieve something they put their mind to, right? But let's say it's something that you have that they didn't have the strength to achieve it. What they'll do is, instead of, okay, so the natural person, the average everyday person, the one that doesn't have a mental illness, right? Let's say they always wanted to be a doctor and they're a waitress. And then they see an aspiring doctor come into their restaurant and give them a timeline of how they became a doctor, and they realize, oh, it is doable. And then the person even tells them, here's a program that will actually allow you to go for free. Just like throwing all the information at this person. The normal average person, if they're able to do it, they will jump on an opportunity like that. The narcissist would rather sit back and hate on you because you did it, and they just don't want to do it because they feel like they're too good to try to accomplish something that you're accomplishing. It's like this attitude, like, how dare this person be a doctor, and I'm over here. Who the hell they think they is? So now it turns into like this anger and hate. So instead of them taking that energy, that same anger and hate, not displacing it onto you and go and do what they need to do to be at that level that they want to aspire to be, they would take that same energy and just use it to hate you and tear you down and make you feel like you ain't shit. Like, who you think you is? You think because you got a degree? I remember my mom used to do that to me all the time. Who you think you is? You think because you in school, you somebody? You ain't nobody. You ain't got no job. She'll find anything to say bad about me. I don't deal with my mom no more. She's on the block list. She's been on a block list for like almost 4 months now since that incident happened with my nieces. But other than that, that was just an extra level of layer to push me to finally just like block her. But I used to block her in the past, and then people in the family, the flying monkeys, the scapegoats, will always find a way to get a message to me that she said. But now I told everybody in my family, don't y'all tell me anything about that woman. I will put y'all on the block list too. So don't nobody come to me now and tell me shit about that lady. But there's still other people in my life that, for selfish reasons, when I tell them things that I'm doing, I'm getting this negative feedback. And it's like, oh my gosh, why do you have to try to control my every decision making? And that's why I was saying, those are the narcissistic people in my life. It's not just my mom. I've been around, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous how many narcissistic people is in my life. It's not just, it's like, and when I say in my life, I am going through a cleansing stage in my life right now. This cycle has been the last 2 years of just getting rid of bad people. I just want to say bad people, because it's more than just narcissists. You got control freaks, you got perverts, you got all kind of people that just be attracted to your light. When you are chosen one, or when you're a light being and you exude that light to people, not only are other good people or people that's like-minded going to be attracted to you. And when I say attracted, I don't mean looks wise. I'm talking about attracted to my spirit. Sometimes these dark entities be attracted to my spirit. And my daughter was telling me I have simian line, the line that goes straight across your palm. The reason why I didn't show it real quick is because I didn't keep it on the screen. There's actually people that read people's palms on a screen and will try to do witchcraft. It's crazy. Like, the stuff that be out here, the demonic, the dark stuff that be out here, people will target you for good or bad, but mostly for the bad if they're targeting you, right? Because a good person is not going to be targeting. It's just going to be a natural level of attraction. You're just going to be naturally glided to that person if it's meant to be. If you're meant to have a relationship with somebody, a friendship, a courtship, an opportunityship, y'all gonna naturally cross paths. I just believe in divine intervention, right? I believe in that so powerfully. If it's meant for you to do something, be something, or accomplish something, divine intervention is gonna make sure you get there. Call it God or whatever, but I'm not saying whatever, but the divine intervention is the action part that God allows to have happen. But you got to first be receiving of that. So once the divine intervention comes along, you'll notice stuff starts to align the way it's supposed to be, like the domino effect. So if you're supposed to do something, a calling or whatever, and you start to feel, okay, I need to be here. Something told me I need to be in this particular place at this particular time. Next thing you know, you meet somebody that had the blueprint on how you're supposed to do X, Y, Z, and then that person tells you how to meet this person, and next thing you know, you accomplish where you're supposed to be in life because you took that first initial step to say, I need to do this, this, and this. So no one can't come into your situation and tell you what your divine intervention needs to be, because they don't know. They're operating off their own divinity, their own situation. So when someone tries to come and change your journey or your path, understand that they may be blocking your blessing. They may be blocking your blessing from divine intervention. So now what happens is they're trying to take the place of what God has given you and the path that God put you on because of their selfish needs. Next thing you know, you stop what you're supposed to do because you're listening to them. They tell you, oh, don't do it this way, do it this way. Next thing you know, you staying with a person. Let's say you were supposed to move out from somebody's house or something like that, and they're like, no, stay here. This is when my mom would like convince me, no, stay with me and let me help you with the kids, and this is what you're gonna do. And I'll be like, okay, well, she's helping me out, so she must care. And next thing you know, a couple months go by, she threatening to call police on me because I didn't give her my kids, or she threatening to put me out, or you know what I mean? Like madness. So you're like, wow, if I would have just stayed here initially, I could have met somebody else, or I could have gotten a job, or I could have did this. But no, I went against my first instinct and went with this person who didn't have my best interest, who played it off like they had my best interest, when all along it was for their selfish reasons. And their selfish reasons could be to take advantage of you, to manipulate your mind. If it's a narcissist that is doing it, their sole purpose in all narcissistic people is to take over your mind. That is, always remember, that's the first and foremost. Their first agenda is to take over your mind, and they're going to come up with different ways, and one of the ways is to have what's called a shared fantasy. So that's the part I just wanted to add to my video from last night, is that I'm here trying to I'm almost packed up my truck too. I'm here trying to make changes in my life. It's going to be a whole different reset on my life, because I cannot function trucking and concentrate on school. It's just not working for me. It's causing a lot of mental anguish for me. So I decided I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to go back into the healthcare field and finish school, right? You got a few people in my life that's like, oh, you're going back to New York, oh, now they want to talk shit. And it's like, the people that you think you trust, excuse me. So the people that you think, and it's crazy how a lot was said in the last couple of days that I didn't know that this person felt. Like, wow. You know what I mean? So all this time, you've just been keeping tabs on my life to see. It's like they want you to rise in their way, like in how they want you to rise, so they can use you for your money, use you for your growth, use you for your clout, all of that. And I'm like, it's the people you least expect is the ones that's judging you the most. Understand that too. That was an eye-opener for me. And maybe 6 months to a year from now, I'll explain what I mean when I talk about this particular situation. But sometimes when things are happening in real life, you can't give too much detail. You see what I'm saying? And plus, people be watching my videos. So I don't want to cause more drama than necessary. But this person that I really thought understood me and knew me for a while, like they knew me for a long time, the stuff that they said, it was like, oh, so that's what you've been doing, really just keeping tabs on my life, you know what I mean? So I would take advice from them sometimes. I mean, you're human, you know, you have a human connection, you take advice from people, right? And then I would notice if I didn't follow the advice they give to the T, things would work out in the way I would do it for myself, right? And then let's say along the way, you know, I have a little minor hiccup or something, and I might ask them like, hey, how you feel about this? Or did you see what happened? I might be complaining about something. And instead of them saying, oh, okay, that's cool, you know, that's understandable, they'll be like, well, maybe if you'd have did it my way, this wouldn't be happening. It's like, so you're saying everything you've done and every decision you've made, you've never had a hiccup? Okay, that's narcissistic. That is very narcissistic. So that's what I'm saying. Just be careful. Excuse me, I got food in my teeth. Be careful who you, okay, I'm not saying be careful about who you tell your goals to. That's fine. You can tell your goals to anybody. You can tell your goals to the homeless man sitting on the corner or whatever, right? Be careful who you do share fantasies with. When you start interacting with a person and you start sharing your fantasies with them, and I don't mean fantasies as in Delulu, right? It's just a fantasy could just be, it becomes a fantasy when you don't realize the realisticness of what's happening. So it may not be because you're talking about your goal, it's unrealistic. What will be unrealistic is that you're talking about your goal with a person that is not having your back. They're literally manipulating every word you're about to say to them. That becomes a fantasy because you're not in the real reality of what's taking place, the dynamics of that interaction. You got to be very aware of every interaction you have with people. You got to get intentional. And I know it sounds manipulative, but it's not really manipulative. It's really, you gotta, it's hard to describe. Because people will hear the word survival and think, people hear the word survival or vigilant. Okay, put it like this. I'm gonna give you an example. If you knew you were being watched by a camera from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep, wouldn't you move different? Wouldn't you act different? So you got to look at it that way. Look at it as you're always being watched under a camera, lens. People, not people, but the evil. One of the evil could be the narcissistic person, the sociopath, the deranged lunatic, the control freak, the pervert, the predator. Look at it as, what if you knew they were watching you every single day? Wouldn't you move different? Wouldn't you interact with them differently? Right? So when you start getting into interactions with people, I'm not just saying hello to somebody. I'm talking about when you start building connections with people, start looking at that through the lens of that. Is this a potential narcissist? I'm not saying to be defensive, but have your defense mechanism ready for if you have to ever deal with that type of situation. This is why we get caught off guard. And I remember, I think it was Steve Harvey. I'm not a big fan of him, but I remember one time he was talking to these black women, right? And he said, oh gosh, what did he say about it? He said, when you are dating, if you don't have, okay, this is what I was about to say. These women were saying how they were doing this thing called the 90-day rule, where they'll wait 90 days before they have sex. And Steve Harvey was like, when I wrote the book, it wasn't for you to take it verbatim. It was for you to start being more aware when you get into a situation, having some emotional intelligence, some awareness, some vigilance on what's finna happen, right? So you've been single for a long time. Let's say it's a woman. She's been out of the dating market for a minute. I can't really speak for a man because men move differently in general, right? But when a woman says to herself, okay, I'm gonna purposefully take myself out of the dating market, that's also bad because now you've put a resistance in what could be, right? It's fine. Do it your way. But you say to yourself, I'm going to physically pull myself from the dating market. And I know I'm going off the topic a little bit, but I'm going to come back to what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to give some examples. So she pulls herself out the dating market. And then when she thinks she's ready, or she bumps into a dude that she would consider her type, or he pulls her out of that trance of being abstinent from intimacy, right? So all of a sudden she meets this guy. She's been out of the dating market on purpose for, let's say, a year or 2 years. Now this guy comes along and he's interested in her, and he's like, yo, I want to talk to you. How you doing? Da, 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 da. They start dating. Next thing you know, all the rules that she made is out the window. The reason why that happens is because, one, that person that said they were pulling themselves out the dating market, they wasn't really intentional. They were just reaction. It's called compensatory behavior. You're just compensating for something that traumatic happened to you. So now you feel, in order to soothe yourself, in order to soothe your trauma and your pain, well, this is what I have to do. It's not really coming from the real you. The person that, if let's say you wasn't hurt or broken, would you have made that decision? If you're making decisions based off of your trauma, it's not the real you. It's your I don't know why I struggle with that word. It's your compensatory feeling of, what do I need to do to compensate for the loss that happened to me, which is I got dumped, my husband left me, my kids abandoned me, whatever it is that made this person say, you know what, I'm just going to come out the dating market. It's sort of like an aggressive rebellion towards yourself. But let's say you're healed, you're just going through something where you just really want to maybe get closer to God, and you say, you know what, I'm going to take a hiatus and I'm going to discover me. I'm going to really, truly figure out me. What do I need to find love? What love look like? When it happens organically like that, when you meet your mate, what happens is you know what to look for. You're more intentional. The other way, the female I'm talking about in the first scenario, what happens is you're like, well, how did she throw all the rules out the window? She slept with him on the first night. She's been celibate for 2 years, and she's still giving away the goods on the first night. What happened? What happened is she wasn't intentional. She thought she was intentional, but she really was just operating out of fear. So she really didn't build her real self properly. So all her core foundational traits, or her personality, or her needs, or her desires, it's like emotionally deregulated, and it's like the skin is still open. Like, let's say you have a cut and you can see the wound. Her wound is raw and open. So when that man comes along and she says, I'm celibate, or I'm abstinent, he can hear you saying that, but he see that wound. He's like, okay, she's fake with it. I'm gonna use her. I'm gonna sleep with her. I'm gonna make her drop all her defenses. I'm gonna make her break all her rules, and I'm gonna show her that she ain't ready. So that's what happens is the dark side of you attracted another manipulator. Because what happens is when you're not true to self, you're really just doing yourself a disservice. You're manipulating yourself. You're playing a mental game with yourself. So if that's what the narcissist was doing to you before you decided you was going to just break it off with all humans and just go into a cocoon and just be alone and say F humans, that is you doing a disservice to yourself. And the manipulator, the next one that come along, oh, he going to smell that thing. It's like shark to blood. He going to smell it. She going to smell it on you. And you trying to act like you're fully healed. Oh, I don't need a man. I don't need no woman. They smell it, and that's the ones that get hurt the most. That's the ones that get really destroyed. So if you don't want to get destroyed and you don't want to get played, after you maybe got away from people telling you what to do, trying to break you, trying to manipulate your mind, and you start going into that, okay, I'm gonna go heal, don't make these proclamations, these declarations of, oh, ain't nobody gonna ever love me again. Don't do that to yourself, because what happens is you deserve love. You deserve these things that you now talk about. Oh, I'm gonna be on Front Street. I ain't gonna let nobody come back and break me. ma'am, sir, that's the first thing they're going to do to you. Because they feel like you're putting up a front now. The best way to just handle those type of situations with people is just always be ready, always be aware. And that's why I go back to my first saying. It's not me saying be paranoid, or because paranoia means you already think it happened. You already think the person is doing something and they ain't even do it. That means you not giving that person a chance. The next person that come along, the people that want to actually give you opportunity for a job or for a new life, you're not giving them opportunity because you're in a state of paranoia. So I'm just saying, don't be in paranoia, but be vigilant. Not super vigilant, because super vigilant comes from anxiety and all these other disorders where you feel like everybody is the bad guy. Stop thinking like that. Give people a chance. But once you start giving people a chance to come into your connection, into your circle of your mindset, be extremely intentional on how you deal with them. How far you let them get into your life. How far you let them cross boundaries with you. That's what I'm talking about. When you stay, you should be like that 24/7 with every single person you come in interaction with. Even your children, even your spouse, even your best friend. Anybody that is going to have a shared fantasy with you, you need to be sure that this person is really for you. So that's what I meant to say last night. I was all over the place last night in my car. I was just stressed out and I had to get some stuff off my chest, but I'm feeling better today. And I got another day of packing. I should be done by tonight. And I'll keep y'all posted though. All right, talk to you later. Bye.